and the Ravens' huge move to get Roquan Smith and the Bengals' big loss begs the question, Baltimore, have they proven themselves a real threat as one of the top teams in a loaded AFC, Peter?
You know, it's interesting because a lot of these teams rest on their laurels and they look around and they say, you know what, we're there, we like what we got, let's not upset the apple cart. And the Ravens have done the absolute opposite. Roquan Smith leads the league in tackles. Like, I think he's a huge addition for Baltimore. And they were going with Josh Barnes and they were going with Patrick Queen at middle linebacker. Queen's been fine this season, going to the 5th year of his contract, and he's got a whole issue with his contract on the offseason, whether they pick it up or not. But then Josh goes down, and they're kind of like, what do we get? Roquan Smith's available? A 2nd and a 5th. Go. Take it. Let's get this guy. I think he's a beast, and the Ravens know the deal. He's a rental. He's a rental. I mean, this is a guy who's on the franchise tag, so he's only going to be there for the remainder of this year. Then they got to decide whether they want to bring him back. And with the game of chicken that they have in their contract situation, Lamar's in his final year of a contract. Roquan's in the final year of a contract. Neither one of them have agents. They're both going to be going to the negotiating table and saying, hey, and the Ravens can't franchise both of them. So it's either we're going to bring back both these guys on huge contracts, top of their position, or one of them's going to have to go, or we can franchise one and pay the other. It's a it's a difficult situation for Eric DeCosta, the GM, but he's not like, I don't want to deal with that. He's like, bring it on. Like, I'm okay with that. I respect the heck out of what the Ravens are doing. They're adding talent. And I'll give you another name. They signed a guy to the practice squad 2 weeks ago who, if you watch these Ravens games, is the most upbeat dude on the sidelines. He's there. He's 35 years old. And I think he's going to be activated sooner rather than later. They got DeSean Jackson, too, the last couple of weeks. And I think D-Jax might have something left to go. This was last year on Thanksgiving. Remember, everyone's like, he's a Raider? What? And he lit up Dallas and made big plays. Like, I will say this. I think the Chiefs and the Bills are Team 1 and Team 2 in the AFC, and I think there is a wide margin. I think that the Titans are right there. I think the Ravens are in that conversation of top 4. I cannot put them up in that 1 or 2 spot, and I think the Titans have the edge on the Ravens this season. But gosh, I think that bothers them, and they're willing to push all their chips on the table, and I respect the hell out of that.
I do too. I don't know when it's going to happen, but DeSean Jackson will have a long touchdown at some point. One of these weeks it will, and it'll be over 60 yards. Just a quick word on Bears GM Ryan Poles. I mean this as a compliment. I think he is like a business sociopath. Like, he is Dexter. Like, blank, I have no feelings. I am here to do a job. Just the quick timeline. Roquan is the best player, says, I want a contract, and I'm not playing until I get one. He goes, okay, well, I'm not giving you a contract. It, like, just didn't blink. Then 2 weeks ago, they have their best win in years against New England. Immediately after the win, our best passer, Robert Quinn, gone. Roquan Smith is crying, gone. Like, he's just like, I got a job to do, guys, and I really respect it. You better stick those draft picks and spend that money wisely, though. As far as the Roquan thing, the more important thing with the Ravens, I feel like this is the cliche, but it is so true. Like, a perfect Raven. Just perfect. Really fiery, big hitter. Remember, I think it was you, Peter, at the table earlier in the season, is like, this is not Ravens football. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all these guys, it's a shame. It's a disgrace. He will butt people up, and I mean that. He will hit. Think about who they have to go through. They're going to probably have to play Tennessee potentially in the playoffs. It's Henry. It's Josh Allen. It's Kelsey. It's those guys. Like, those are the killers. And the Ravens want to win a Super Bowl, and they got a guy who is totally fearless, leads the league in tackles, and is one of the top 5 biggest hitters in the NFL in a year when it's still really hard to hit. I think it's a big win for Baltimore. I think this could be the difference in winning a playoff game and losing one. I think he is that good of a player.
Yeah, I love what you guys said, because getting a guy like Roquan allows Patrick Queen to blitz more, get after the quarterback, which he's done a really good job of. And I saw DeSean Jackson in pregame in Tampa. He looks good. He was out there running and doing all of those things. He'll be out there. For me, as good as Roquan Smith is and how big of an addition that is, when we talk about a team like the Buffalo Bills being Super Bowl contenders, we don't name Matt Milano first or Tremaine Edmonds, and those guys are studs at the linebacker position. We talk about Josh Allen. This Ravens football team will be a contender because of Lamar Jackson. He is going to be the guy, and he's been the guy. Early on in this season this year, he looked like an MVP candidate with the way he was throwing the ball. He was also running it as well. It's all going to fall on his shoulders. To beat the Chiefs, to beat the Bills, they're going to have to put up points. Yes, they're going to have to play defense, and they will with the addition of Roquan Smith and Calais Campbell and some of those guys that they have on the defensive side of the ball. But this guy, Lamar Jackson, throwing the ball, running the ball. Last week versus Tampa, we saw them come out and throw the ball 32 times in the first half. And we're all watching the game like, what the hell are the Ravens doing? Get back to who you are. And he starts off that second half and rips off a 20-something yard run. And it was just like, okay, this is the Baltimore Ravens we came here to see, and this is the team we expect them to be. So, yes, I do believe they're going to be contenders in the AFC, and I believe it's going to fall on this guy. They haven't been able to do much in the playoffs since he's been there, but it's going to happen with him not only running the ball, but being able to throw the ball in the air and make plays to get this offense going.
I love this, the addition. It's so Baltimore Ravens defense. This guy is so durable. He hasn't missed 3 games, I think, in the past 3 seasons. He hasn't missed a game in the last 3 seasons. But I think he'll help close games, not just win one in the playoffs, because the Ravens have let games slip between their fingers late this season. I'm thinking Dolphins, and I'm thinking Buffalo Bills. And I think this spin here is like, this is a fantastic addition, and I don't mean to make this sound negative, but like the Ravens essentially, I think, have been using Justin Tucker like, oh, we got Justin Tucker, we don't have to, we're fine. It's like, no, you still need to be able to drive the ball down, run the ball, close a game, get a lead and run the ball late. You can't just rely on the leg of what will become a first ballot future Hall of Famer in Justin Tucker. That's not Ravens football. Ravens football is getting after a guy and imposing your will as a defense, and Roquan Smith is so that. Question, though, when it comes to Roquan Smith and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has come out and said that he doesn't want to talk about his contract. What if Roquan comes in and is like, I would like to talk about it? Like, how does ownership...
You can't, because of the franchise tag that he's currently on, you can't negotiate till the end of the season anyway.
Okay.
So he's purely a rental, and then once the season ends, then they can start having conversations. But Lamar made his deadline, Roquan made his Neither one of those guys got that monster deal, and now they're playing for something. And I think we've seen it with Lamar all season, and Roquan too. I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you think the compensatory pick comes into play for these GMs? You go out and get a guy like, if he leaves, we still gain a third round
pick, and that's what the Ravens are experts at. They have the most third-round picks every year. If a guy leaves of that caliber and signs a huge contract, you can get at least a third-round pick. So I think the Ravens saw this as, hey, we'll deal with that stuff later. Let's try to get better today.